Hey everyone, so today we're going to jump right into some really powerful ideas from D.B. Pearl's book, Create a Better Brain Through Neuroplasticity. We're going to zero in on 5 key chapters that basically offer a roadmap for parents on how to help shape a child's developing mind. Right off the bat, the book poses this profound question that really gets to the core of everything. What if you, as a parent or a caregiver, have a much more active role in building your child's brain than you ever thought possible? This is the big idea we're going to be exploring. All right, let's start at the very beginning. Chapter 6 is all about those foundational years, and it breaks down the absolutely incredible things happening inside a young child's brain. So, what is going on in there? Those first few years of life are just this period of explosive brain growth. But it's not just about adding more stuff. It's also about refining and perfecting what's already there. Okay, so this slide gets into a super fascinating concept called synaptic pruning. The book basically explains it as the brain's use it or lose it principle. Think of it this way. Pathways in the brain that get used all the time through talking, playing, learning, they become stronger, like well-worn paths. And the ones that don't get used, they just get pruned away. It really shows you just how crucial a child's early environment truly is. Okay, so from there, let's jump to chapter 7, and you can really see how this all starts to build. This part is all about what's called executive function. Those critical skills for planning, focusing, and self-control, and the mindset that really fuels them. The book draws this really sharp line between what it calls a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. As you can see here, a kid with a fixed mindset kind of thinks their abilities are just set in stone. But a growth mindset, that's what builds resilience and a real love of learning. And the author's whole point is that building up this growth mindset is the absolute foundation for developing strong executive function. So how do you actually do it? Well, the book lays out these 4 really practical steps. The most important one is shifting the focus from talent to effort. So instead of saying, "You're so smart," you say something like, "Wow, you worked so hard on that." That simple change teaches kids that their brains can literally grow and get stronger every time they tackle a challenge. All right, now we're going to pivot to a very modern challenge. Chapter 8 is actually titled Sacrificing Our Brains to the Screen, and it takes a really direct look at how screen time might impact the very neuroplasticity we've been talking about. So, according to the author, the passive act of just watching a screen is fundamentally different from actively engaging with the real world. The book makes the case that the stuff kids watch isn't just entertainment. It's actively wiring, or maybe not wiring, really crucial parts of their developing brain. Chapter 8 really breaks down several of these key impacts. The author points to things that could hinder the development of the frontal lobe, which is critical for those executive functions we just discussed. The argument is that too much screen time can lead to shorter attention spans, and it can take the place of creative, problem-solving play, which is just so vital for brain growth. Okay, from screens, we're going to move to something you might not immediately connect with brain health: the gut. Seriously, Chapter 9 introduces this incredible idea of the gut as a second brain. The book explains this thing called the gut-brain axis, which is basically this constant two-way communication highway. So what happens in a child's gut, which is heavily influenced by diet, doesn't just stay in the gut. Nope. It sends signals directly up to the brain, affecting everything from their mood to how well they can think. And here's where it gets really practical. This slide shows the big takeaway from that chapter. The author strongly recommends a diet full of whole, nutrient-dense foods to support a healthy gut, which then supports a healthy brain. And on the flip side, it warns that a diet packed with processed sugars, unhealthy fats, and artificial stuff can really mess with that delicate gut-brain connection. For our final section, we're diving into Chapter 10. Now, this chapter takes the book's entire framework of neuroplasticity and applies it to the topic of autism. It approaches the subject from the perspective of parental choices and the influence of a child's environment. The book really explores how parents can apply all these principles in tangible ways. It connects back to the other chapters, suggesting that things like structured sensory activities, a diet focused on that gut-brain axis, and minimizing overstimulating screen time are all ways to create an environment that supports a child's unique neurological development. So, the crucial takeaway from this chapter is really a message of empowerment. The author circles back to previous ideas, suggesting that making conscious choices about a whole food diet, managing screen time, and encouraging focused, interactive play, these are all presented as ways to give a child the best possible support for their own unique developmental journey. This quote from the book really just ties everything together perfectly. Whether we're talking about mindset or screens or diet, the message underneath it all is about agency. It suggests that the choices we make and the environments we create have a profound, direct impact on actually shaping the brain. And that really brings us to our final thought. The book's core message is that a child's brain isn't fixed, it is constantly being shaped. And that leaves all of us with a really powerful question to think about. How can understanding this incredible ability of the brain to change truly empower your own approach to parenting?